So my philosophy is if I delegate the task, it will die. But if I delegate the ownership, it will
Yep.
grow. So I took the leadership team through the transition and not just the GM. I set clear lanes, I set clear metrics and very clear delegation authority, not really the task, but really the ownership of a specific work and scope, right? And I monitor through structure check-ins, dashboard, but not micromanagement.
Welcome to Entrepreneurism. I'm your host, Scott Pollock, a seasoned business leader, entrepreneur, and CEO coach with a passion for helping others achieve success in their entrepreneurial journeys. On this show, we dive deep into the world of entrepreneurship, uncovering why so many struggle and revealing what the most successful do differently. True entrepreneurs have unique superpowers, including the ability to spot hidden business opportunities and convert them into thriving ventures. For most mere mortals, this ability is absolutely unfathomable. But these same strengths can become sources of struggle, whether it's pursuing multiple opportunities without losing focus, scaling without eroding culture, or balancing short-term demands with long-term vision. The entrepreneur's journey is full of tensions. Here we explore critical factors that drive entrepreneurial success: how to stay focused, manage resources, build strong teams, and develop the resilience to navigate the ups and downs of the journey. Bold ideas, candid conversations, and insights that will help you unlock your full potential. Ready to learn and grow, expand your toolkit, and discover actionable strategies to help you navigate your own entrepreneurism? Let's dive in. Very excited to welcome on the podcast Vanessa Hendriadi, a seasoned founder CEO who truly embodies a work hard, play hard mindset. Welcome, Vanessa.
Hi, Scott. Great to be here. Very
Va-
excited.
So am I. Vanessa is the CEO and co-founder of GoWork, one of Indonesia's leading premium workspace platforms with over 25 locations across 5 cities and over 600,000 square feet under management. Since 2016, she's driven a strategic merger, led multiple funding rounds through Series B, and steered GoWork through COVID, emerging as one of the few co-working platforms still standing in Indonesia. Outside the boardroom, Vanessa is all in on wellness and longevity, a certified yoga teacher who practices cold plunging, a marathon runner, high rocks racer, an Ironman 70.3 finisher. And she's a certified wine expert and co-founder of the International Food and Wine Society Jakarta chapter, something that I certainly appreciate. In this episode, we'll dig into how a founder CEO playing at that level decided to rebalance her work-life self equation, stepping back from day-to-day operations, empowering a GM, and redefining what it means to lead strategically without losing touch with the business or herself. Vanessa, perhaps you can start by talking briefly about how you started your entrepreneurial journey.
Great, Scott. Thank you for that generous introduction. Sometimes I couldn't believe that I did all that and still stay sane, but I guess I'm wired that way. Yeah, so my entrepreneurship journey, I actually started my career as an engineer, a chemical engineer, which is ironic because now I spend most of my time dealing with humans, arguably the least engineerable thing on earth, right?
Hmm.
But I feel that my brain still works like an engine because I like systems, I like flow, I like clarity and things that click together and run very smoothly. So I'm just wired that way. When I came back from the US, so I studied in the US, I left Indonesia when I finished high school, studied chemical engineering, worked at a pharmaceutical company, did my MBA, worked at an entertainment industry for 2 years before I came back. I joined the family business and I felt that struggle. It's a really great company that my parents built. It has incredible work ethic, but I felt that the culture was already fully formed.
Mm.
It really wasn't bad, but I felt that it just wasn't mine. I felt I couldn't run things with the kind of operational discipline and structure that my brain craves.
Hmm.
And I felt that that was my first big realization that I wasn't meant to inherit a system. I was meant to build one. So I stepped out of the day to day family business, and I felt the entrepreneurship calling, but I didn't jump into the entrepreneurship blindly. Luckily, my parents made some investments in real estate. So I spent time studying the real estate investments. I spent time building a network with developers and really understanding how the ecosystem worked in that sense.
Mm.
And then I married my husband, Adrian, who is a serial entrepreneur, now running a VC in a major Southeast Asian fund. And suddenly I was exposed every day to a startup world. This was 2013, 2014. And it clicked to me that real estate is the hardware and startups are the software. And somebody needed to connect the two.
Hmm.
So that was how the idea of creating a co-working space at that time, the company that I founded is called Rework with an R. It was born in 2016. Indonesia was growing very fast. Founders needed a place to build. Corporates needed flexibility. And then landlord needed a partner who could actually operate the space well, right? And it was a perfect intersection of everything I understood: operations, real estate, and people.
Hmm.
And I felt like I didn't set out to build a co-working space per se. I set out to build a platform, an enablement platform, which empowers people to work better, to connect better, and to scale faster. And that's been my entrepreneurial journey ever since.
I love that. And by the way, the notion of even the soft stuff, the people
Yeah,
equation being about systems is something that
yeah,
really resonates with me when you know in my coaching. That's
yeah.
sort of the approach that I take. So I can really appreciate that the cultural system, the cohesive system, the human systems that are
Hmm.
so critical to not just starting a company, but certainly to scaling it.
Yeah, and to that point, Scott, I remember my dad, who is also an entrepreneur, gave me a good advice, which is
Hmm.
to build a business that can scale, right? And I felt
Mm,
that if, as a founder, we have to deal with everything on a day to day, all the functions has to come through us, then it's not scalable.
right. I think most founders, well, all founders, I would suggest, know what it's like to feel like you're the bottleneck in your
Yeah.
business, probably multiple times along that journey, right? But
Yes,
but the
totally
ones who are
agree.
successful in scaling are able to remove themselves as the bottleneck. And then a lot of founders, of course, struggle with that all the way through their entrepreneurial journey. They're not able to really get out of the way in that sense of, being the bottleneck.
Hmm. Yeah, totally agree with that. I felt that throughout my entrepreneurship journey, I used to hire every single person I have in the company until a certain point. I felt that I think I have enough people that I can kind of endorse myself. Now I need to clone more people who can make the same decision or similar decisions like me, right? And that in that sense, it really lifted a huge rock over my shoulder
Hmm.
that I can really look at other things that perhaps not many people in my company can already do at that time.
Hmm. Hmm. Talk a little bit about as you were growing this business,
Mm,
which does have a lot of people in it today. What do you see as your superpower or superpowers in terms of propelling the business, right? Because I mean, every entrepreneur has to bring the best of themselves. And then what were the greatest personal struggles for you?
yeah, that's every single entrepreneur's big question, I feel.
Yeah.
It's funny that you ask about superpowers because yesterday I led a strategic planning session with all of my leadership teams, and this is exactly the exercise that I gave to them. So thank you for asking that question. I actually had to think about what my superpower was, but I felt that throughout my journey, and as I mentioned earlier, even though I am a trained engineer, I love to connect with people.
Hmm.
I love networking, but to me, it's not just about meeting people because whenever I meet someone new, I like to learn about them. I like to connect with them, and that's how I build empathy. And that's how I absorb whatever it is that they have gone through in their life and learn from it.
Mm.
So I feel that that's my superpower. And that word that I'm looking for, I think, is resonance, is that word of my superpower. I like to connect, I like to absorb, adapt, and in that sense, amplify.
Hmm. I love that.
And you, and your next question was greatest
Well,
struggle, right?
so yes, exactly. So then that served you well in building
Mm,
a business that was driven by certainly a lot of people, and you've been able to. We'll get into the way that you've been able to redefine your role and to some extent step back from the day to
yeah.
day. So the opposite of sort of being the bottleneck, right? But
Mhm.
what, you know, in those early days, what were some of your biggest struggles, and how did you deal with those?
I guess the struggle in my early days is somewhat different than what I'm struggling with now, right? I
Hmm.
think as a solopreneur, when I built my first company, it was very, very overwhelming. It was actually my first company that I started from scratch. My second son, I have two boys. So
Hmm.
the time when I started GoWork, Rework at that time, my second son was only 9 months old. So I had just finished breastfeeding and the startup ecosystem in Indonesia was thriving. I saw how other founders spend like 20 hours of their time doing everything they can for the company, fundraising, being out there in front of their laptop, joining so many different programs. And I felt that how can I keep up with that? Right?
Hmm.
How do I as a mother of two who has very young children can keep up with that?
Hmm.
So I felt that kind of like FOMO in a way, but I felt that that period of time really taught me a lot of things. That awareness that we cannot do everything is really a key
Hmm.
as an entrepreneur. And that's why recently I had handed over my day-to-day operation to a GM, which has its own story. But as an entrepreneur, being aware that we can't do everything and we have to really empower our team is something that we need to learn every single day.
Hmm.
And even though we are aware of it, it's really not easy to just let go.
You're also talking when you say you can't do everything, it means you really got to prioritize, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Especially if I want to do all my other exercises as well.
Yep. There's
Cannot just be just work.
it's true. And work is endless. Time is the only thing we can manage.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's the
So
priceless thing we all have.
yep. So learning to be able to do that, and you were, of course,
Mm,
we've all got plenty of tensions, you know, as
mm,
entrepreneurs, life and work and self all bleed together, right? And really managing our time and our calendar is so critical. Let's talk a little bit about your recent transition, if you will, in the business. And I know that this was not something that you just did. You really
mhm.
thought long and hard about it, and I think you even got some help from a coach to work through figuring out what you wanted, I guess, and how best to do that. Walk us through that a little bit. I think this is again a struggle that plenty of entrepreneurs have. That balance is very dynamic, and trying to
Mhm.
find the sweet spot is a big one.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's true, Scott. So this transition that you referred to is so I recently transitioned over my daily operational to a GM. That decision has taken me more than a year, I think, to finally take to fruition. And I'll be honest with you, it's not a magic switch. It's not
No.
immediate. I had to struggle with myself for quite a long time, answering a lot of my own questions, answering and asking myself a lot more questions
Hmm.
to understand whether this is really something that is good for me first and good for the business, right? It cannot just be good for the business and not myself and the other way around. So there are two components here that are extremely important, especially since as a founder, we consider our business as our baby, right?
Hmm.
It's really a long process and it's a very emotional one. Uh, if we're all as a founder who built the company from scratch, But I think for me, what really worked is that I focus on three things. I've always been a leader who loves transparencies, and that's how we were able to go through COVID quite smoothly. If I can say if I can say that, because we have survived right through
Hmm.
COVID, and that's because of transparency. Also, I use that same thing as I transition over. The second thing is that I really get everybody to have shared ownership in the process.
Hmm.
So involve all of our leadership team, management team from the time I made the decision that we are going to have a GM, and I don't know how to do it, but I need your help to do it, and I'm going to involve you in every step. So I say that
Hmm.
to everyone as well. And then communication, right? Communicate, and over communicate. I took the entire team through the why first. Why we needed a GM, why it mattered for the company's next chapter, why it mattered to them, right? Because the why is always what's in it for me, right?
Yeah.
So I clearly explained to them that it mattered to them, because I want everybody to step up to do way more things that they were able to do before, because there's always me that they can come to who can answer all the questions for them, or uh, I guess a safe spot if they're unsure about something, right?
Hmm.
But I want them to be a lot more empowered and have higher delegation. And of course, like you said, bottleneck. I don't want to be the person who creates the bottleneck for the company. So my philosophy is, if I delegate the task, it will die. But if I delegate the ownership, it will
Yep.
grow. So I took the leadership team through the transition, and not just the GM. I set clear lanes, I set clear metrics, and very clear delegation authority, not really the task, but really the ownership of a specific work and scope, right? And I monitor through structure check-ins, dashboard, but not micromanagement.
That could be a master class in leading change. I really love that. In the course that I'm teaching at NYU Shanghai right now, just 2 sessions ago, we were talking about leading change, and I did do some case studies with my class. But this is as good a case study, I think, as I've heard. Setting the stage, getting ownership and empowerment, making your team feel psychologically safe to push back or to ask questions, all these elements. And then you yourself being very structured about it. I really like that, checking in but not micromanaging, so that they really do feel that they own this shift, and not just your GM who ultimately will, I'm sure, need a lot of
Mhm.
support. How is it going? I mean, this is a recent change.
Yeah, it's quite recent. So I'm now shadowing the GM. So we had a period of time where the GM is shadowing me.
Hmm.
I didn't give every single department authority to the GM yet.
Hmm.
So it's a step by step process, and I know that it's a step by step process. I cannot remove myself completely, and I'm not planning to. That's what I'm telling everyone, right? That this change is not about me stepping out, but it's about everybody stepping up, including
Hmm.
myself. Everybody needs to be able to see things more strategically, and everybody needs to be able to make the big decisions, right? Not just a C level, but the managers as well,
Hmm.
and be responsible for it. There are risks that everybody needs to take, but if the risk always falls on the C level, falls on on the founders, then the company will not grow. So I think just because I'm still kind of there, of course, I also need to make sure that the GM is comfortable with managing all the managers, all the leadership team. Like I said, it's art and science, right?
Hmm.
I wish I could
Hmm.
work with more machines as an engineer, but we're dealing with humans, and every single person needs a different approach,
Yeah.
right? Everyone ticks differently when they're under pressure,
Yeah.
right? And we might only see the surface, we might only see the tip of the iceberg, but we want to make sure that everybody has their limit, and if they need help, I myself have my limit, right? And I know where
Sure.
to go to if I need help. Nobody's perfect. that support system to me is very important. So making sure that my leadership knows that they still have the support system, and that this is interesting because I know that sometimes in companies there are departments that feel like they're in silos. Like I'm marketing, so as a
Hmm.
marketing manager, as a marketing head, I need to make sure that my marketing team does well, right? But when I
Right.
speak to my leadership team, when I conduct the management meeting every month, I remind them every single time that this room here is your first family at GoWork. Each manager in this different department is your family. Your second family is your department, your team, your associate. You need to make sure that
Yeah.
you have everybody accountable. You look out for everybody's interests, not just your department. And that's how we grow.
That's so important. The leadership team as the number one team in the company, and really being a team, not just a work group that gets together and gives each other updates of what's going on in their
Yeah.
teams. That
Yeah.
is so
Hmm.
critical. I really like that one. And then as I'm listening to you, so your role going forward, then you will continue to be, I take it, the visionary CEO, right?
Yes,
You're
that's right.
still guiding strategically the business. And then to use language from a book that I actually quite like called Rocket Fuel, you've put in place an integrator GM, someone who's going to really make sure that the systems and the processes are running properly, the trains are, running on time,
The
so to
train is
speak.
running. Yeah.
And then defining, and you talked about this, the lanes that, particularly between you and that GM, but also the
Hmm.
rest of your leadership team, of course, as well. Being very clear about that and open, transparent is so important in making that relationship work so that you're not stepping on each other's toes and creating
Hmm.
resentment or any of that.
Yeah. One of the challenges I remind myself. So sometimes I do like a pre-mortem
Yep.
of projects, right?
Hmm.
So what could be the worst thing that could happen, and how I make sure that it doesn't happen. One of them is that, like, I really do not want to say that, hey, GM, this is what you are entitled to do, and this is your scope, but then I'm still there, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And it gets very confusing. It gets really disempowering, and I am trying to be aware of that whenever
Yeah.
I feel that, oh, you know what, this could have been done this way. But instead of telling the person how I would do things, it's more asking questions. I
Yeah.
think as a leader, we need to be able to ask questions.
Well, that's where coaches. I mean,
Yes,
asking question is
correct.
is really that
That's
is the
your
tool
expertise.
of the coach, right? And I think, look, entrepreneurs as leaders, a lot of what I see as my role as a coach is helping them to be better coaches
Mm,
ultimately. And that's been the feedback that I've gotten.
that's very
Some of the
wise.
most valuable, the greatest value, I should say, that my clients have gotten, they've told me, is you've helped me to become a better coach. You've helped me
Mhm.
to ask better questions of my team, thereby allowing the team
Yeah.
to learn and grow without me making their decisions for them.
Yeah, that's one noble thing that a coach does, amongst many others. So I really admire what you do, Scott.
Thank you. Thank you. So this is great. I think the notion that you've highlighted several times that people are complex, the people equation is messy.
Mhm.
It goes to the real fact that as entrepreneurs, it's the soft stuff that is the hard stuff, clearly. But I love what you're doing and the approach that you're taking.
You.
I do look forward to to hearing more as you continue down that path.
Yes,
With that said,
for
let's
sure.
shift a little bit. One thing that I do with all of my guests is to do some quick fire entrepreneur hack type questions. What's one book
Ooh.
every entrepreneur should read?
To me, it's Meditations by
Mm,
Marcus Aurelius. Yeah. I am still reading it now for the second time, and it still really intrigues me. And I felt that it's the book that really politely reminds all of us that 99% of the things that drive us insane as entrepreneurs,
hmm.
like fundraising stalls, impossible employee, messy board dynamics, whatever it is, right? All of it is super tiny in the grand scheme of things. I think it's the closest thing that we have to a mental pressure fall, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really perfect book for when you want to stop overreacting and start leading.
I love it. Stoicism. Mm-hmm.
Yes, very important for every entrepreneur in the age of AI.
Yeah. And social media and everything else, right?
And social media and many other distractions. Correct.
Yes. What's one thing you do every morning to set yourself up for success?
I like this question. It's very simple, Scott. I move every single day. I start my day with an exercise.
Hmm.
So some days it's cardio endurance. Sometimes it's VO2 max work. Sometimes it's a strength work. I swim. I mean, the good thing is that I expose myself to many things that give me pain. So I know I know how to reach out to certain things when I need it. I needed that particular work, right? So, I feel tired today, so I'm just gonna do a slow run. I can do that. Oh, I feel powerful. I wanted to like lift weights. I could do that. So I don't care what it is, as long as my body moves. I feel that my mind unclogs. So I do that every morning.
Awesome. What's a tool or app you can't live without?
Okay, so I don't have one particular one, but I hate to say that my the one app is for me is WhatsApp. I
Okay.
wish it wasn't, but let's be honest. Well, I guess for China, it's not WhatsApp, it's WeChat.
Yeah, well, exactly. But these days, I've got to use both of those plus a handful of others.
Exactly. And I'm so sorry to hear that. But entrepreneurs run half of their company, half their personal life, half their drama on this platform, right?
Yeah.
So joke aside, I mean, you mentioned in my introduction that I'm into longevity. So I also cannot live with my Aura ring. It tracks my sleep, it tracks my steps, it tracks my stress level. I check on my dashboard a couple of times a day. So that's one thing that it has
That
to,
works,
yeah, come with me wherever I go.
and it does.
Yes.
What daily habit keeps you grounded?
Hmm. So in the morning, before my exercise, I do journaling and either daily affirmation or short meditation, depending on how I feel.
Hmm.
But I have a set of affirmation that I say to myself every morning. I do journaling on an app called Day One. Didn't get any commission from saying it, but I've been using it for many many years, and it's very simple journaling. I think a lot of people get really intimidated when we say we have to write about our days every day. But for me, it's about three things. First is my wins. So what was my wins the day before? And
Hmm.
then the second thing is anything new I learn. And then the third thing is gratitude. So I have
Yeah.
to, like minimum five things that I'm grateful for, however shitty day I have.
Hmm. Positivity and gratitude. So important. Yep.
That's right. Yeah.
And finally, what's the best piece of business advice you've ever received?
Luckily, I have a good handful one, but I think what resonates with me right now, especially because of my recent transition, is for us to build our life so that the business fits into it and not the other way around. So for
Mm,
years, I did the opposite, right? And I think many, many founders drive themselves to the wall because they're building the business. They're building their life into the business, and sometimes there's no life, right? And it's really possible when we build systems, when we empower our leadership team, and we protect our energy, like it's equity, right?
hmm.
The business actually runs better when I stop trying to be the hero.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, your oxygen mask first is certainly
Yes.
critical, and I really resonate with that one as well. For a good part of my career, I felt like it was career driving
Hmm.
life, but then 8 years ago, I guess I developed the reverse approach of writing a one page personal plan in which career
Wow.
or work was just one element, but the personal plan drives the decisions for what I'm going to focus on in work and work and career. So yes, I can totally
We need
resonate
to
with that.
spread that across a lot more so that people hear that more than people hear the word business plan.
Yes, yes. It goes back to the fact that as entrepreneurs, it's really difficult to separate work and life and self. So if you don't know what you need, and really starting with self, then it's difficult to make the right choices. It is dynamic. It's not a fixed balance or in any sense, but I think that's an important one. So
We'll have to love ourselves first, and then we can give the
Mhm.
energy to others.
Absolutely. Amen. Last question for today. This has been amazing. What's one piece of business advice or just advice actually you'd give to entrepreneurs just starting on their journey?
Hmm. I think what helped me is that believing that we are not the answer for everything.
Mm,
If we start with that mindset, I think it helps us to build our team and our second layer in a way that we have the support system that we always need,
mhm,
wherever we are the journey, right? And life happens, right? It could be that everything is fine when we start the company, but we have family, we have our life, we have our children, we have our spouse. And what happened if, knock on wood, things don't go as planned, the stars are not as aligned as we planned to?
mhm.
What's going to happen to our company? What's going to happen to us? And if we remember that and remind ourselves that, then we prepare ourselves to make sure that we have the right support system, because every entrepreneur needs one.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
Wisdom. Well, Vanessa, really appreciate you joining the show today. Thank you.
I really, really enjoyed it, Scott. Very happy that you invited me, and it was a great time chatting with you.
To my listeners, we've got many more amazing guests lined up. Please subscribe, leave feedback, and share this episode in your feeds. Till next time. Thanks for listening. Remember, entrepreneurship isn't just about spotting opportunities. It's about taking disciplined action to bring them to life. Hope you'll join again next time as we continue to unpack the complexities of entrepreneurism.